Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Keeping Your Keys podcast. Today, we are sharing a meditation themed for Imbolc. Imbolc is the first fire festival in the Celtic Wheel of the Year. It is all about the fire in the belly. Here, where we live in coastal Nova Scotia, Imbolc is always the season of ice, as February is the toughest month of the year, with lots of storms, lots of ice. We went for a drive the other day and we were looking at all of the ice heaves from where the ocean has actually frozen around the coastline and then defrosted and then frozen again. And it makes these really unbelievable kind of heaves in the ice. So we're doing a meditation that connects us to the power of ice with the eternal flame, and that these two things, the eternal flame within us, cannot be extinguished by the ice of the world. And also that when we work magic with ice, the flame cannot extinguish it or melt it either. So this is this convergence, that duality, kind of a crossroads energy between fire and ice, and also connecting to the meaning of this time of the year, which is about that fire in the belly, right?
hmm hmm No, I'd like to say, unless you utilize fire or ice as a tool in your magic, right?
Right. And that's something that you've been working on. You want to talk a little bit about what you've been up to?
No, we've been working on freezing spells, particularly freezing insecurity. Um, and just in general, freezing spells don't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as, writing your intention on a piece of paper and freezing it. I use the cupcake liner.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. But,
And you're going to be sharing some photos
yep.
from what you've been up
Yep.
to. So freezing spells can take many, many different forms. We talked about we're working with our keyword of the year is security in all
hmm
areas of our lives. So the opposite of that is insecurity. So we are freezing insecurity.
hmm
You can use freezing spells in witchery in so many different ways. We just did a witches hour session on freezing spells. So if you join Covina, you can come in and hang out in the front porch of Covina.
Yeah.
We call it the witches hour for completely free, and you can watch that whole recording of that class on freezing spells and using ice and snow in
hmm
witchery. We're going to put together something and share some photos on Instagram as well later this week.
hmm
It
Well, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up utilizing it as a tool is because we also focus on the unfreezing.
Right,
Um,
the melting.
yeah.
And you know that you can freeze things temporarily and then melt them when you are ready to deal with it. And something that came up in the class, which I think is important for us to share, is that right now there is a lot of heaviness going on in the news cycle. There are so many difficult things going on, and it may get emotionally too much for us.
hmm
And we can do a temporary freezing spell, like saying, like, we're just going to take a break from this,
Yeah.
whether it's the news or a problem that we're grappling with, anything in our own lives. And I know people are always curious, like, what aspects of Hecate would you map onto winter and ice and so on? And I think because Hecate, with her origins in what's modern day Turkey, like the idea of ice and winter was very different
hmm
than for those of us who are here in the areas that experience really intense winters. But there's something about winter, especially when we are in the thick of winter in bulk for us.
hmm
That midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, to me, that is so much a calling to do that deep inner work.
hmm
And I would map aspects of Hecate's psychopomp,
hmm
the soul guide, onto this time of the year. Other aspects could be like if you are trying to connect and get rooted, Hecate is Chthoniya, and connect, to the first stirrings of new life deep
hmm
within the earth. Chthoniya is an excellent aspect for that. Um, Also celebrating the lengthening days, which is something that I do. I like to greet every day as the sun rises. So there's an epithet of Hecate that references that time of the day when the moon is setting and the sun is rising. That's Erigeneia. So there are different aspects of Hecate that you can pull into Imbolc. In the coven, we are doing the Hecate's pentacle ritual, which
Mm-hmm.
evokes 5 different fires of Hecate. We're doing that live on Imbolc, so you can join Hecate's Keys, the Gate of Rebirth, to experience that ritual live. I believe that ritual, a version of that ritual, is going to be in my book
Mm-hmm.
that is coming out later this year, Entering Hecate's Cauldron. So, however you connect with Imbolc, whether it is the traditional spirit associated with Bridget and so on, we've got a great article by our guide KD up in Covina talking about that kind of aspect. This year, within the coven, we decided to focus more on the crossroads of Hecate and the energy of Imbolc traditionally, which is this first fire festival, fire in the belly, and that's why we're doing that ritual. This meditation, if you do have something that you know you want to freeze, you can hit pause and then hold it in your mind for a few moments and then come into the meditation. The meditation walks you through like a technique for letting go of whatever it is and putting it in the deep freeze as you also ignite that fire in your belly. And I think that fire in our belly is going to see us through, right?
Yes.
You know, that depth within us that is like the sacred flame of Hecate.
Yes. Do you know what this makes me think of in the emergence of fire and ice? And you were talking about the stirrings of new growth in this time of the year is like cold stratification of a seed. This idea that that igniting spark is contained within
Hmm.
and holds such potential for growth.
Do you want to talk a bit more about cold stratification for those that might not
Oh
know what
yeah,
it
so
is?
this is some seeds. There's a and you may be able to explain this better than me, where seeds need a period of cold or like a
Hmm.
winterization or like a freezing in order to, I don't know, it's almost like they to gain the energy to sprout.
Yeah, yeah, they need to reach certain temperatures. And it's
Yeah.
also like I'm thinking about the rosemary in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
which up until so the winter solstice, it was even blooming, which was so rare for
Yeah.
rosemary to do that. But then it was like it got some deeper message that it was time for it to go dormant,
Yeah.
right? And it is about that wheel of the year. There is a time for dormancy, there is a time for the cold, and
Mm-hmm.
then there is a time for the flame to be rekindled. And I think Imbolc offers us that moment when we can, do maybe a freezing spell or some kind of fire ritual, have a meditation and so on. But it's also that deeper perspective that comes with the Aquarius new moon that is just, we're recording this the day before the Aquarius new moon, but it's just a few days before Imbolc. It's that time of getting perspective and seeing our own uniqueness in the
Mm-hmm.
world.
Mm-hmm.
That Hecate Astrodia, the Star Walker, or
Mm-hmm.
Cleidochus, the keeper of the cosmic keys,
Mm-hmm.
those vibes that come with the Aquarius new moon, and to kind of weave it all together as we go through like our own turns of our own wheels, right?
Right. What is that spark? Like, what are you birthing into existence?
Hmm.
What's that spark of creation?
Right. And it's just at the beginning times. It's the seed,
Yeah.
which may need that bit of cold storage,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes we need to put things on ice.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoy the meditation. We'll put the links for joining Covina, whether you want to become a student in Hecate's Keys and join us for the Gate of Rebirth, that deep program that is a fundamental course of modern Hecatean witchcraft, or you want to come and hang out with us for the Witches Hour on the front porch of Covina,
Mm-hmm.
you can join us now anytime. We're really looking forward to this season of rebirth. We need this now more than ever, witches. Thanks so
Yes.
much for supporting us.
Hail Hecate.
Hail Hecate. The season of Imbolc, February the 1st, the tipping point when winter is both at its apex, at least where we live in the world, And also there is the first stirrings of spring deep within the earth. It is a crossroads time, and that's very special to all of us as Hecateans. We stand at the crossroads. This meditation works with the two of the themes of Imbolc, which is the winter, symbolized by ice in this meditation, and also the fire in the belly, the deep earth fire, that spark that starts to stir underneath the frozen surface, the fire that can't be put out, the fire that we have all within us. So we are going into this duality of fire and ice in this meditation. And if you are comfortable doing so, just close your eyes and let's start just to come into ourselves here. Now, one of my favorite practices with each Sabbath, each turn of the wheel of the year, is to really take my feet and let them get rooted in the earth, to feel the different emanations from the earth as the seasons change. So let's begin here by stretching down our roots deep, deep, deep into earth, the realm of Chthoniya, that richness, past the snow and the ice, through the frozen top layers, deep down to where it is full of life, life that's getting ready to find its way to the surface once more. The first stirrings of spring. Feel that pulse and feel that duality between the ice of the above and the fire down below, the fire in the belly of the earth. As witches, we abide in those spaces between, holding the power of fire and ice, ice which without our will does not extinguish the fire, fire without our direction, which does not melt the ice, existing in their pure essence. With a breath, open your heart to the energies of this time of the year. Seeing within you those elements of fire and ice. Where is your fire? What are you freezing? What's igniting for you? And what do you need to put a stop to encase in ice? Whatever is encased in ice at some point, we can always apply the fire to liberate it. But for now, our focus is on what are we icing? What are we igniting? And up to the crown and the higher self, stretching up to the celestial, to the moon and beyond, feeling the shifts in the heavens above as we transition through this phase of the wheel of the year, bringing all into unity, the crown, the heart, and the root, feeling that dual energy of fire moving and the stillness and fixedness of ice. Now let's go deeper into this experience of fire and ice. Envision a beautiful entrance that will take us into the frozen landscape of Hecate's garden. Stepping through, it is a proverbial winter wonderland here. All is frozen, yet the torches light the path. Flame, the power of the frozen world. Walking down the path, we come to the altar, and today the altar is beautiful ice. And in the center of the altar is the eternal flame, the sacred fire. The ice doesn't melt to extinguish the flame, and the flame doesn't melt the ice. Primordial powers, the essence of the mystery, taking your place around the altar. Make your offering of what you wish to freeze. What is it that you have had enough of? Now, we can freeze things permanently, or they can be temporary, things we need to delay for now. So you can write it into the altar or place it on the altar. And as you do so, the flame kisses the offering just enough so that the ice absorbs it. That which is frozen cannot be undone without the touch of the sacred fire. Whatever you are freezing here, be it permanent or temporary, know that you can return as the witch that you are and add the flame for those things that are temporary, or leave it encased for all time. With your offering complete, turn around And as you do so, you see the first signs of the turning wheel, of the eternal flame that is deep in the earth, starting to render a new season. Ice starting to melt. Maybe even a glimpse of something green starting to emerge. There is hope and potential as we have left behind us what was meant to be frozen. Stepping back through the gate now, coming back into your regular mind, feeling enlightened, feeling the pulse of the sacred fire and the power of ice. Taking a deep breath, and when you are ready, opening your eyes and coming back into regular consciousness. As always, make some sketches or notes about your experience during the meditation, and hail Hecate and her sacred flame and the power of ice.